I'll tell you what Kool-Aid I'm drinking for this elite matchup Saturday. Oklahoma, Shane, at Alabama. Both these teams fighting for their playoff lives. Bama currently in the field. Oklahoma just on the outside looking in, but you win this one. I think you're a lock to get in. If you take care of business, you will be. Alabama favored by 5.5 points at home. Over under 46.5 total points. 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central. Nationally televised on ABC. Who do you like in this epic showdown?
Oh, it's going to be a good game, man. This is when I'm doing my picks, I always if I'm having trouble with one, I keep pushing it back. This one, it kept going further and further down the list, right? And then I had to in my mind imagine how this game plays out. Because Oklahoma, don't get me wrong, played really good in Knoxville at times, but also really bad. It's just Tennessee couldn't capitalize on it, right? I mean, they were able to move the ball on Oklahoma, which was kind of a surprise to me as elite as this defense has been, but not able to capitalize. That's where the defense really took advantage of them. So Alabama, flip side of the coin, the last couple of times I've watched them have not been as impressive as they were earlier this season. And I'm trying to figure it out. Is it something that maybe Ty Simpson's given away? Is it, you mentioned the running game. Is this, not enough balance there and Ty's trying to have to win this thing? This game, if in Norman, like last year, I'd have Oklahoma all day long. But I feel like there's a lot riding on this game. And the fact that they were absolutely embarrassed by this football team the year prior. I mean, Kalen DeBoer isn't his first year coaching for Alabama, right? There's a lot of kids in that locker room that are reminded how close they were last week with LSU, how a team that they should have blew out of the water, they couldn't because they kept shooting themselves in the foot. I think they get a little bit of that correct this week. And unfortunately, I feel like the playoff run for Oklahoma ends in Tuscaloosa. Give me Alabama close, 28, Oklahoma 24. Not super confident here. I do think that John Mateer's going to have to play the game of his damn life. And if he's do that, I could see them pulling off an upset. But I feel like this is a game where we turn back around and say, you know what? Ty still hasn't been talked enough about Heisman. This is a guy that I have more confidence in the fourth quarter.
Oh. Hey, this is a good opportunity, Shane, to plug.
Yeah.
We've got an interview dropping tomorrow. Our buddy Tyler McComas.
Ooh.
Their KREF Oklahoma radio. So full breakdown of this game will be dropping on the channel. So stay locked in. Notifications, like, subscribe, share. But, I like a lot of what you had to say. But how much of it, Shane? How much? Because anytime you're picking Oklahoma to lose, just like you picked them against Tennessee to lose. How'd that work out? I'm just curious, Shane, how much of this selection it's because your butt hurt that they beat them Vols?
Shit, why are you bringing that up? That was 2 weeks ago. I haven't even thought about that game, even though I just mentioned it 2 minutes ago.
I think you've been sitting on it for 2 weeks, hoping to end their playoff lives here. That's what I think.
I don't know, man. I know John Mateer's been dealing with this, right? And I know that I will say this, the offense of Oklahoma, I'm still like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It has no identity. They got linemen banged up. They got running backs banged up. There's a lot of question marks on that side. So if Alabama can hold Oklahoma's offense, then who do I have? That's kind of where I'm at, right? But defense, Alabama's banged up too. So I feel like if you're going to take advantage, this is the time.
What if Alabama's one-dimensional?
Yeah.
And Oklahoma, with this great defensive front, gets after Ty Simpson's ass and he doesn't have time to pass. How confident are you? Alabama, I looked it up right now, 58, ranked 58th in the country Ooh, if we go by sacks allowed per game, which is a more accurate statistic, Alabama 66 in the country in sacks allowed per
Yeah.
game. Where are the Sooners, Shane, in sacks per game? Oh, just number 3 in the country. Just number 3, Shane, behind A&M in Texas. So, there's a case to be made that Ty Simpson, as good as he is, I don't care if it's Ty Simpson or Joe Montana back here, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. You can't be too effective if your ass is getting chased all night. And that could be the case here. And I think it will be. I think old Brett Venables, Shane, I think he out-schemed old Kalen DeBoring last season. Now, in Alabama's defense, Ryan Grubb wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I think he's done a fantastic job, Shane. I think he's big key to Ty Simpson's success and taking growth forward. And it sounds like, Shane, Ryan Grubb, Alabama fans should enjoy him because it sounds like he's getting a head coaching job. So be on the lookout for that. I think if there's a coordinator that is bound to get a head coaching job, I think it's Ryan Grubb. So just keep that in your back pocket. But if Oklahoma can run the football, I think that opens up the whole thing. That's kind of been the key to the games they've been winning, being able to run the football. Even the game they lost to Ole Miss, they were able to get some runs going late in the game, and they had a lead there in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken, thanks to, I think it was Xavier Robinson in that one. But if Oklahoma can run the football, Shane, I think they're going to have a lot of success in this ball game. John Mateer, he's playing better, Shane. He's playing better. I'm a little worried for Alabama that John Mateer is looking more pre-injury John Mateer than otherwise. And Alabama, I think Alabama, you said it well. Every time I watch them, it's like, is this team elite? I know they were. They got all these records. They're the first team ever to beat 4 in a row, ranked teams, blah, blah, blah. Well, they haven't looked good since then, I don't think. They look like they're regressing. Meanwhile, Oklahoma is looking better and better.
Yeah.
Better and better, Shane. They're looking better and better. Give me to win the game and shock the country, Shane. Alabama 23, Oklahoma 20. It's going to be close, just like you said. But Alabama's got the longest winning streak in the nation at home. I think it's just asking a little too much. But maybe we get on short, Shane.
Yeah.
Maybe I just have a feeling in the back of my mind that he can get the game-winning field goal, but I don't have the guts to pick it.
Oklahoma fans are happy, right? How happy are them Sooners, man? And how big would that be? I feel like you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think this comes down to rushing because both teams really haven't been good at it, right? They haven't been elite at it. But the problem is if you can't establish that, if you can't keep them honest, then, I feel like one-dimensional, I favor Alabama. So, yeah, maybe that's the stat line. If whoever has more than 50 yards rushing in this game wins the game. So,
Oklahoma at Alabama. Separation Saturday starts here in Tuscaloosa as the Crimson Tide favored by 5.5 points with the over-under set at 46.5 total points. 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central, nationally televised on ABC. Oklahoma ran away with this one last season, but that was old Jalen Milroe's fault, if you ask Tide fans, and he's long gone, of course. So what do you like in this matchup, Steven?
Mike, is revenge in the air this week? Last week, as you correctly kind of assessed, maybe it was like a weekend that could see some upsets. We didn't. But that being said, Alabama out for revenge against Oklahoma. There is also the stakes for the SEC championship game. There's also the college football playoff. If you're Alabama, you win this one, you beat Eastern Illinois, you're at 10 wins, you're probably making the playoff given that schedule. If you're on the other side, Oklahoma, 7-2. We joked about it earlier. Spot the ball. You got a chance to make the playoff here if you go into Tuscaloosa and win. I think there are scenarios at 9-3 they could get in, but don't leave it up to the committee. Just beat Alabama if you're Oklahoma and play your way into it. Also, the Heisman, Ty Simpson, a chance against maybe one of the best, certainly one of the best defenses in the country to make a statement in the Heisman race, especially with Fernando Mendoza of Indiana and Julian Sayin playing lesser opponents this week. So the matchup that I think is the marquee one is got to be Ty Simpson against that Oklahoma defense. I mean, the defensive line for the Sooners, maybe the best in college football. We'll see about the status of our Mason Thomas, but Simpson has delivered time and time again this year. He is the Alabama offense because they haven't been able to run the ball. And just thinking about how well he's navigated like messy pockets this year. He's good at kind of feeling the rush, being able to put the ball into tight windows. How does Alabama's offensive line hold up? And then if the rush does get there, how does Simpson navigate that? Maybe hit some big plays? Or does Oklahoma's pass rush just win like it did against Tennessee, creating pressure? Maybe it creates a turnover. Oklahoma doesn't give up much on the ground. Alabama, you have to at least try to have some balance here. But the matchup, Mike, of Oklahoma's defensive line versus Ty Simpson, this by far is one of my probably the matchup I am anticipated to see the most this weekend.
Yeah, and there's been so much made about Alabama's inability to run the football. But what is your thoughts on Oklahoma's ability to run the football against Alabama? Because I think that'll be key to this matchup.
Yeah, I think so too. We have seen, Alabama's defense, whether it was Castellanos of Florida State in the opener, going back to Jackson Arnold last season, they've had some trouble with mobile quarterbacks. So you could see John Mateer, maybe his legs come into play, but Xavier Robinson back-to-back 100-yard efforts. So there's a little bit more balance there for Oklahoma now starting to come in. Mateer, obviously, the way he's going to have to carry this offense, but maybe there's a little bit more help. Maybe your offensive line starting to come together. I do think the secondary of Alabama standout group. How does Mateer make some plays here? Also think Alabama's done a good job of adjusting sometimes as the game goes on. Like we saw this, like they stepped up last week against LSU, other times this season. So interested to see the early punches and then how these teams adjust on Saturday.
Who do you think has the coaching edge when specifically just thinking about Alabama on offense with DeBoring and Grubb and Oklahoma defense, Brent Venables? Who do you think's got the edge there?
Oh man, that's like good on good toss up.
Right.
Wouldn't you have to at least say maybe a slight lean to Venables, but not by much though.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially given last year. Now, I know Grubb was not there, but I think that's fair to say. But not by a wide margin, like you said. So that'll be interesting to see here. Do you think if Alabama wins this game because of Ty Simpson, do you think he'll be a Heisman finalist?
I think he will be. I think he should be. I think even if Alabama falls short here, but they win the next two, I think he should absolutely be in New York. And I think you could look at a couple numbers. It's the lack of mistakes. It's delivering in the clutch against high-profile opponents. It's the accuracy. It's the fact that he is the Alabama offense. There is a lot of factors that I think check in his favor. So a good performance here probably solidifies a trip to New York for the Heisman Trophy, but I think he can get there without that too, just given the way he's played this season.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan Grubb's been the latest, Steven, among all these offensive coaches that have noted, hey, we got to watch out for these pesky Sooners. We're changing all our signals because we got Venables coming in here. So, the fact that so many of these teams have to go to these lengths when they face the Sooners, how much of it is mind games? How much of it, how much does that possibly derail your preparation for facing Oklahoma because you're worried about this, that, and the other? There's just so many games within a game here for this matchup, don't you think?
I think so. I think some of this is gamesmanship to some extent. It's making, if you're Oklahoma, you want to add some doubt to Alabama, make them maybe spend some time on changing some signals. If you're Alabama, you want to put out there that, oh, yeah, we are changing everything, make Oklahoma self-doubt at scouting too. So I do think there is some gamesmanship, Mike, but also this has been a thing going back to Clemson. And I'm not saying this is like rule breaking stuff. It's just that Brent Venables and his staff seem to be very good at deciphering what other teams are doing. So I'll be interested to see if Alabama maybe huddles, how they operate on offense, maybe do some things at the line of scrimmage differently to kind of throw Oklahoma off. There's something there in this matchup for sure.
Hold on. Sorry, Steven. StreamYard's been giving me issues. So talk with the cousins for about 5 seconds. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Mike, I think one other matchup that we have to talk about on Saturday is going to be the Oklahoma's offense against the Alabama defense. We saw Mateer maybe in the second half against Tennessee kind of start to find his rhythm a little bit. There was, we mentioned the back-to-back 100-yard efforts by Xavier Robinson. Alabama holding teams to about 19 points a game in SEC play. They've been good in the red zone. We mentioned the trouble that mobile quarterbacks have given them too, but also we should note, Mike, I think Oklahoma's defense is the best in the SEC, but also if you look at like Ole Miss, Arch Manning, teams have found the way to move the ball on this defense. So a lot of this comes back to, I think if you're Alabama, can you just manufacture enough of a rushing attack to stay out of third and longs? And I think if you're Oklahoma, you have to do that too. I don't think you want to be asking Mateer to say 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, go out there and beat Alabama secondary.
Now here's what I was trying to ask you before StreamYard crapped out on me. It's the second time it's done that this week. Get your act together, StreamYard. You're next on my list.
Those YouTube and ESPN people are taking over this now, right?
I'm concerned about it. I was going to say they're next on the list after those two. But, any surprise that the line's 5.5? Now, again, we should all be to the point now where we realize like that's not a prediction. They're just trying to get people to bet both sides of it essentially. But you got Alabama, right? Mighty Alabama. Everybody's got them in the playoff as a national championship contender, Heisman quarterback. And then here you got the lowly Sooners who've lost a couple games. Can they even compete in this ball game? Yet the spread's only 5.5, and it's at Alabama. Does that line surprise you at all?
Not really. I think because Oklahoma matches up so well. I think because their defense matches the strength of Alabama offensively, and also just think, if you're Alabama, and as much as, I think very highly of this team, if you keep playing close games and you get into these scenarios like the South Carolina game, the LSU game, there might be a week where things don't click in the fourth quarter or the second half. So I'm not surprised. I think the defense for Oklahoma can help the Sooners potentially cover that spread.
Mm-hmm. And then if the game comes down to a kick, which it very well could, who you favoring? It's almost got to be shorts there, Sandell, right?
Yeah, it's got to be, right? Alabama missed with that chip shot last week, so you got to go. You got to go Oklahoma with the edge on that one.
Okay, because a game like this, it could very well come down to that, don't you think?
100%. Points could be at a premium, and if you're Oklahoma, you kind of have to know, like, once you get past the 50 and you start to get into range, right? That's like it changed the way you have to play third downs, maybe go for it on fourth down if you're Alabama and you don't have a lot of confidence in your kicker. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge advantage. Somebody that can bomb 50-yard field goals. Yeah.
And matchups like this, Steven, we talked about the games within the games, but the middle 8, the 4 minutes before halftime, 4 minutes after, things of that will be critical. Clock management, timeout management. DeBoring, he's been burning a lot of timeouts early in the game. It's not hurt Alabama, but it could catch up to them at some point. I think this is, one decision here or there could very well determine this game. I think it goes down to the wire. Do you think that's fair to say?
I do, because I'm thinking about the Oklahoma-Texas game. and I thought about Venables mismanaged the end of that one. I think was it last week Alabama scored right before halftime against LSU. It feels like they've been, they can maximize those kind of situations maybe a little bit. I think some of the intangibles I might trust DeBoer on a little bit in this scenario.
Mm-hmm. All right, Steven, moment of truth. Who wins this game? Alabama? Do they keep the march to the playoff alive, or do the Sooners reinsert themselves? I mean, they're already in the playoff discussion, but they're firmly in for the time being. If they go into Tuscaloosa and win, it may not be a better, more impressive win on the season if the Sooners can do that.
If Oklahoma wins this game, Mike, I think they can go to the playoff because I think they'll win out. I think they'll beat Missouri, and I think they'll beat LSU. So this game probably helps a lot to get to 10-2. Like I said, I still think 9-3 very much in play. Also, don't think we should assume that the most perfect scenarios are going to play out, right? We're due for some upsets, right? I mean, Oklahoma's defense matches up well against the Alabama offense. The Sooners can defensive line maybe get Simpson behind the sticks. They can get him sacked. There's a lot that Venables, I think, in his defense can do. Alabama's +10 in turnover margin. Oklahoma's -5. So that's something to watch on Saturday. Turnovers, like you said, field goals, clock management. This game feels very tight to me. Sounds like the Black Hoodies making a return, right? Kalen DeBoer is 12-0 at home as Alabama's head coach. I'm going with the Crimson Tide, Mike. Give me Alabama 24, Oklahoma 20 in a close game that comes down to the wire. I think Ty Simpson maybe making a play or two in the fourth quarter is the difference.
I'm disappointed in you, Steven. Not with the prediction, but just the fact you brought up that stupid hoodie. I want that to end like nothing else. ESPN's got graphics for it. They got people doing features on the damn hoodies. Apparently they got 6 on reserve. Those shenanigans. That's where... As I'm not a fan of the short shorts, I'm much bigger fan of the short shorts than I am black hoodie discussion. You know what?
What hoodie's worse, Kalen DeBoer or Bella Cheats over at North Carolina?
I mean, what shoelaces did Nick Saban have when he was winning all these national? Why don't we have it? It's like all this nonsense. It's stupid.
It's probably. I think I'd rather hear about the hoodie than, do you know Ryan Williams was 17? Do you remember like Colt McCoy and Jordan Shipley were roommates? Like
that's true. They always find the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
That's almost as bad as Parent Cam.